Hey guys, it's Scott with Scottie Beat Cards, and in this video I want to break down the best rookies in 2022 Topps Update. 2022 Topps Update is actually shaping out to be a very, very good set. Everything that 2022 Topps Series 2 for the base set wasn't, Topps Update is. It is a very solid set with very solid rookies, a lot of top 10 prospects, a lot of great players on this set. And so I want to dive into the top 15 players. I actually will have an honorable mention. And the way I break this down is I look at their age, between the ages 20 and 30. If they're 20 years old, they get 10 points. If they're 25, they get 5 points. If they're 29, they get 1 point. Prospect ranking, if they're a top 10 prospect, they get 10 points. If they're the 15th overall prospect, they get 9 points. If they're the 80th prospect, they get 2 points, and so forth. Minor league stats, how well they played in the minor leagues, and major league stats, how well they played in the major leagues. I take the total of all of those, and then I divide it by 4 for an average score, and that is how I determine this ranking. None of these players have much major league experience, and because that's not fair to do major league stats, I look at all 4 of these. Age, because the longer you play, the more likely you are to accumulate enough stats for long-term value. Prospect rankings, because scouts say they're good. Minor league stats, because they showed they can do it in minor leagues. Major league stats, because that's where they play. So let's jump into this. Honorable mention, we have Seiya Suzuki. And the reason Seiya Suzuki's honorable mention, not actually in the top 15, is because he doesn't have a prospect ranking and he is 27 years old. Seiya Suzuki was very solid for the Cubs this year, and he had a pretty good year. I'm going to hop over to his baseball reference page. You can see right here, Seiya Suzuki's had great success in the foreign leagues. He's had a 943 OPS, 309 batting average, a 189 home runs, and so forth. He's a really good ball player. In the big leagues this year, he's done pretty well. He had a 770 OPS, which is a 116 OPS plus. Derek Jeter's career OPS plus is 115. Granted, that's even for like the decline years in his late 30s, early 40s. But overall, Seiya Suzuki had a pretty solid year. Overall, I probably wouldn't be buying his cards for long-term value just because he's 27 years old. He had an okay year, but nothing too crazy. At number 15, we have Brendan Donovan. I watched a lot of Cardinals game this year because of Goldschmidt and Arenado, and Brendan Donovan was really pretty good. And I actually gave him 7.5, one of the highest scores for a player on this list for actual performance. Minor league stats are above average, nothing too crazy at 6. He was not a prospect. He got a 0 there for that reason, and he's 25 years old, so for that reason, he is pretty low on this list. But Brendan Donovan is a really good player. Let's go look at his baseball reference page. So here's Brendan Donovan. He had 4.1 WAR, a 126 OPS, even though his OPS was below 800, 281 batting average, and if we scroll down, his minor league numbers are pretty solid. 815 OPS, a 285 batting average. Honestly, pretty similar to his big league production, but in the minor leagues, you expect more than that out of a player. In 2022, in the minor leagues, he had 298 with a 788 OPS. 2021, he had 304 batting average with the 854 OPS. So I said he was above average in the minor leagues, but he was never a superstar. He also did not get any prospect rankings, which is why he is where he is. At number 14, we have Jose Miranda. Jose Miranda for the Twins, solid player. He's never really had anything too crazy. He's 24 years old. He was in the 90th rank over here. We can see he was 90th overall, and he had okay minor league numbers and okay big league numbers. They weren't bad. He had 1 WAR exactly, which is basically the replacement player level. He only played in 125 games, so that could have been higher if he had a full 162. But overall, Jose Miranda is a solid player. He is 24 years old, so it gets harder to buy a player at that age for long-term investability if you want to look at it as an investment, but still at a 751 OPS in the big leagues, which is not bad, but that is my number pick for number 14. At number 13, we have Royce Lewis. Royce Lewis has been around in this hobby, if you've been around for a while, forever. He was number 1 pick in 2017, and he kept getting hurt, but he finally made it to the big leagues this year. But he was a average big leaguer, maybe above average slightly. He didn't have many games, which is why he's a 5. Minor league stats are above average. He is an all-around player with speed and defense, so his offensive numbers never really were too sexy. He was in the 80th-ish prospect, and he's 23 years old. If we look at Royce Lewis, he was 82nd overall at Baseball America. Major League Baseball had him much lower at 46, but I put him as 80th because I trust Baseball America more. And then if we scroll down, you'll see the whole career of his minor leagues is a 760 OPS. If we want to look at his minor league stats this year, he had a 940 OPS and a 313 batting average with 5 home runs. So he's never really had a major season aside from this year, but even this year in the big leagues, he only played, 12 games, but he has 12 hits, 300 batting average, 2 home runs. So I think Royce Lewis will be a great player long term. It's just because of his poor performance in the minor leagues and not much performance in the big leagues, he is sitting where he is at. At number 12, we have Mackenzie Gore, and that might surprise you he's so low. It surprised me he was so low. That's either because he graduated off the top prospect lists, or they just didn't think he was good enough to be on those lists anymore. He was only on one of 3 top prospect lists and was ranked in the 80s. He is 23 years old, so still really young. Minor league stats, they're good. They're not too crazy for the recent years. I put more weight on the recent years, which is why this isn't higher, because his earlier years were extremely dominant, but his major league numbers are about average, a good player. So let's go look at Mackenzie Gore. He is 4-4 with a 4.5 ERA, 0.3 WAR. He was the 10th overall prospect for 2021, the 11th overall, 6th overall, but this year he just didn't have a great year in 2021. We can look at his total numbers. He had 3.9 ERA, 1-3. I believe he was hurt, and then he got traded over to the Nationals, but he did pitch for the Padres part of this year. He had a 4.5 ERA if we want to go look at his actual page in 16 games with 72 strikeouts. Mackenzie Gore is going to be good, and if it was my choice without following what I have over for these standards, I'd have him probably a little bit higher. Next up, we have Kwan. I love Kwan. He would be much higher because he had a fantastic year, and he's relatively young. It's just because he wasn't a ranked prospect. We have him on this list at number 11. Let's look at Kwan's numbers real quick. So you'll see he wasn't a top prospect. His minor league stats are pretty solid. He had a 301 batting average and 818 OPS with 15 home runs for the course of his minor leagues. If you go look at his major leagues batting records for this year, he's 24 years old with a 772 OPS, 124 OPS plus, 6 home runs, 52 RBI, and he is a very pesky hitter. He doesn't really care about slugging nearly as much as he does about getting on base, and because of that, he's okay to slap single the other way. Really fun vintage player in Kwan. After Kwan, we have MJ Melendez. MJ Melendez is pretty good. He's 23 years old. He's a top 50 prospect. Actually, I think he's all over the place. They gave him a 5 right in the middle. He had above average minor league stats and about average major league stats this year. Here is MJ Melendez. He had 0.5 WAR, about average again, with almost a league average exactly OPS plus. He had 18 home runs. He's a slugger. He had a high slugging percentage, well, in comparison to his on-base percentage, with a 706 OPS and a 99 OPS plus. If we want to look at his minor league stats, we can go look at MJ Melendez and see he has some power. In 2021, he hit 41 home runs. So that is MJ Melendez. After MJ Melendez, we have Bryson Stock for the Phillies in the World Series right now. Bryson Stock, he got 6 points here for being in the 45th prospect according to Major League Baseball. If we want to look at his minor league stats, he's had some good years and some bad years. He has an 885 career OPS in the minor leagues, which is pretty dang good, with a 300 batting average, 24 home runs, 83 RBI. This last year, he had an 876 OPS and a 299 batting average in 2021, and that was with 16 home runs. This year at AAA, he had a 986 OPS in 9 games. In the big leagues, he had a 653 OPS. So his big league stats aren't super impressive, but I do think Bryson Stock has a bright future. He is 24 years old though, which is why he's not much higher. His minor league stats were good. Big league stats were above average slightly. At number 8, we have Jeremy Pena. I was surprised he wasn't higher, but he debuted at age 24, while a lot of these guys debuted at age 20 to 22, which really helps their numbers, but he was a great big leaguer this year. More of a defensive player, all-around player, but in the postseason, he's been clutch offensively. And his minor league stats were pretty dang good. His major league stats are pretty dang good. He was a top 50-ish prospect. Let's go look at Jeremy Pena's stats real fast. 4.8 WAR, above average OPS with amazing defense. He was the pre-2020 16th overall baseball prospectus and 72nd overall according to Baseball America. So I put him in the middle for that purpose, and that's why he wasn't higher. But he is going to be 24 years old. And if we look at his big league stats, I want to show you his defensive WAR just because of how good he is. 2.4 defensive WAR, which is higher than most players in this list total WAR. So he's going to be a big leaguer for a long time, and he's proven to be relatively clutch, which is nice. After Jeremy Pena, we have Spencer Torkelson. Spencer Torkelson's disappointed this year. I will not lie. He's not had a great offensive year whatsoever. He does have a top 10 ranking in the minor leagues. He's only 22 years old. Minor league stats are very good at 7, and then his major league stats are very, very bad. So let's go look at Spencer Torkelson's stats. Negative 1.3 WAR. He's the opposite of Jeremy Pena. He does not have good defense at all. But you can see number 5, number 4, number 4, according to all 3 of the big publications. If we look at his minor league stats, he had an 889 OPS, a really low batting average of 258, but 35 home runs in 156 games for all of his minor leagues. Came out of college, didn't play much in the minors, came to the big leagues. So he has time to really develop in the big leagues, but right now his cards don't look too great. At number 6, we have Hunter Green. Hunter Green is a very good baseball player. He throws very hard. That's one thing about Hunter Green. I live close to Cincinnati, and I've seen him pitch, and it was very impressive. He had a very good game, but he has above average major league stats, nothing too crazy. Above average minor league stats, nothing too crazy. But he's a top 30 prospect. He's 22 years old, and he has all the tools. He just needs to put it all together. At a 4.4 ERA, 13 losses because he plays for the Reds. No offense to the Reds. 2.2 WAR. And if you want to look at his prospect rankings, you'll see 35 overall, 22nd, and 32nd. If we go down to his minor league stats, you'll see he's 13 and 16 in the minor leagues with a 3.9 ERA. So some people might not like Hunter Green, but I do think he has potential. Now we're in the top 5. At number 5, we have Alec Thomas for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Alec Thomas, he's only 22 years old, top 30 prospect, and amazing minor league stats. Major league stats haven't translated quite yet, but I think they will. Let's go look at Alec Thomas's stats real fast. You'll see 32nd overall, 18th overall, 37th overall, 1.5 WAR, below average OPS and OPS plus, but he has good defense and base running. And if we scroll down to his minor league stats, you'll see for his career he's an 888 OPS guy with a 313 batting average and 34 home runs. I'm assuming he has lots of strikeouts and not many walks. Let's look. Yeah, that's exactly why his on base isn't super high compared to, a minor leaguer you'd expect. Slugging is right below 500, but actually a 389 OBP is not bad at all. But here is Alec Thomas. I think he has a ton of potential. Him and Corbin Carroll together in the outfield are going to be really fun to watch for the next few years. After Alec Thomas, we have George Kirby. Am I surprised to see George Kirby this high? But he has played really well. The crazy thing is he's not the best Seattle Mariner on this list. He is 22 years old. He is a 30th overall prospect. Minor league stats are great. Major league stats are great. Overall 7.5 total score, which is awesome. Really, really high score for a pitcher. In George Kirby, you can see again, 32nd overall, 21st overall, 12th overall. So he could have been even higher technically. And then if we look at his minor league stats, he has a 2.61 ERA for his career. Last year in 2021, he had a 2.53. In 2022 in the minors, he had a 3.04. In the big leagues, he had a 3.39. And that was with a few bad starts and 1.4 WAR. So I think George Kirby's going to be a very good pitcher for a long time for the Mariners, and they're going to be a pretty dang good team for a very long time up in the north. But that is George Kirby at number 4. At number 3, we have CJ Abrams. CJ Abrams might surprise you on this list. His major league performance has been average to below average, but his minor league stats are amazing. We'll dive into those. His prospect ranking is a top 10 prospect, and he's only 21 years old. So let's go look at CJ Abrams. Here he is, 21 years old, which is really, really young to debut, which is what you want in a player like CJ Abrams. Below average offensive numbers, but he's a good defender, good base runner, he's quick, and because of that, his WAR is positive. You can see he's number 9, and number 11th overall from all 3 major prospecting companies. But look at his minor league stats for his career, a 331 batting average with an 896 OPS for a shortstop. Not ton of home runs, only 12 and 75 RBI in 114 games. But if your shortstop can do those numbers, you'd be pretty dang happy no matter who you were. Even if he doesn't have a ton of power to home run power. He hits a lot of doubles and such. So here is CJ Abrams. Let's look at his big league stats. It's what you expect. Again, relatively solid defender and base runner, plus he contributes offensively slightly as well. And he's with the Nationals now, so he'll get a lot of time compared to when he was with the Padres, with Tatis coming off of his steroid suspension. So that is CJ Abrams at number 3. At number 2, we have Bobby Witt Jr. from the Kansas City Royals, who is 22 years old. Actually number 1 according to some publications, with the next guy on this list as number 1 in other publications. Good minor league stats and good major league stats. All of this leads to an 8.25 total average score. If you go look at Bobby Witt Jr.'s stats, it tells a very interesting story. He has been good. He has a 102 OPS plus, so above average offense, but not by as much as you would expect. He has 20 home runs and he has a bunch of stolen bases as well. If you go look at his stolen bases, he has 30 stolen bases, 20 home runs, and 31 doubles. So he just needs to get on base more at a 294 OBP. That's not great. He strikes out a ton, 135 strikeouts, only 30 walks. So you want to see him improve his plate discipline. Defensively, he's not been great either with negative 1.6 WAR. Defensively, he has the worst DRS in all of baseball, not just shortstops, all of baseball for 2022. But Bobby Witt Jr. has all the tools to be a solid player. He just needs to put them together, and if he does, if he can be offensively a great shortstop and just figure out his defense, maybe he goes to third base, I think he has a ton of potential in the league. At number 1, no surprise, it's Julio Rodriguez. I could have easily given him a 10 across the board. He is 20 years old. His prospect ranking is number 1 overall. His major league stats were a 10. He's going to be a top 10 MVP vote getter in all of baseball, let alone the rookie of the year. So Julio Rodriguez already got the massive deal with the Mariners. He's going to be a good ball player for a long time. We can look at his stats really fast, but you can see with Julio Rodriguez, 6 WAR, 147 OPS plus, and home runs, 28 home runs. If we go look at his stolen bases, he had 25 stolen bases. So he was close to a 30-30 season. If he played a full season, he would have gotten it most likely with a 147 OPS plus and 0.5 defensive WAR in center field, Gold Glove defense. Julio Rodriguez is the real deal. And if I had to invest in any young player, it might be Julio. One discrepancy he's actually 21. I think I had him at age 20. So if I do this, he drops all the way down to a 9.5. Overall, that's not bad. So those are my top picks. Couple notes about this set. Julio Rodriguez, Bobby Witt Jr., CJ Abrams, Spencer Torkelson, and Hunter Green all have short prints in Topps Chrome. And Julio Rodriguez and Bobby Witt Jr., they have short prints in Topps Series 2. Actually, Spencer Torkelson has a short print in Topps Series 2 as well. But it's up to you to determine if these true flagship rookie cards that aren't inserts and variations are worth more and worth chasing, kind of like Acuna was in 2018 and Vlad was in 2019, or if you want to stick with the short prints in Topps Series 2. That's the only negative. If there's actually any rookies that purely have their rookie cards in this set, it's CJ Abrams, George Kirby, Alec Thomas, it's Hunter Green, Jeremy Pena, and so forth. But Torkelson, Bobby Witt, and Julio all have a base short print rookie in Series 2. So thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you're excited for this set and what your thoughts are, and I will see you in the next video.